Hello and welcome to TimesXP. My name is Vidhyatri and here are the biggest stories that are making headlines across the globe today. So let's start with it. Venezuelan skies on high alert. Venezuela's southern airspace erupted in activity as radar alarms triggered fighter jet scrambles. Their president, Nicolas Maduro, claimed multiple aircrafts they were intercepted overnight. He linked them to illegal operations along the Colombian and Brazilian border, while the Alto Orinoco region becomes the focal point of this dramatic military alert. Maduro announces a major air operation. Maduro said 9 aircraft were naturalized in just 24 hours. Though later confirmed 8, he described this particular operation as a landmark in Venezuela's anti-drug effort. His message emphasized that the whole nation's airspace is just so dangerous. Well, the statement was both tactical and political, aimed at global observers. Anti-drug campaign intensifies. Well, the Venezuelan military campaign has triggered drug trafficking corridors in dense jungles. Over 39 aircraft have reportedly been disabled in 2025 alone. Maduro framed this as a sustained, strategic anti-narcotics effort. He highlighted the operation's success to reinforce Venezuela's sovereignty. Clash with the US media narrative here. Maduro accuses the US media of spreading false stories about covert operations. He called it information warfare designed to misrepresent Venezuelan sovereignty here. Caracas insists that it was purely a domestic anti-drug operation, while the rhetoric escalates tension between Washington and Caracas. United States-Venezuela tensions rise here. Washington's recent military development in the Caribbean added fuel to Maduro's warning here. All tankers linked to Venezuela have been seized by the US, framed as enforcement. Caracas views these moves as economic and military pressure, while Maduro's response was a vow just to defend national sovereignty. Global geopolitics stakes in the Caribbean here. This isn't just about drug trafficking or aircraft, it's about control of territory and influence in the Caribbean. While Maduro's message signals resistance to foreign intervention here, the confrontation plays out both militarily and in global headlines. The whole world is kind of watching who controls the narrative here. Iran reveals nuclear advances. Tehran announces 3 major nuclear developments following warnings from Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Well, Iran's state media highlighted a fully indigenous nuclear escalator here. The machine promises medical, environmental, and industrial applications, and yet the timing is a strategic signal to the West. Iran's escalator here, signs or signal, that's the question. The particle escalator is claimed to be peaceful, designed for research and medical use here. Analysts warn technology could have dual-use potential. Iran emphasizes that independence from Western assistance is there, while this whole announcement demonstrates defiance amid the heightened US pressure. Strategic messaging through science here. Iran's nuclear announcement is a diplomatic tool, not a weapon test. It communicates progress and sovereignty to Washington and Tel Aviv, while the country asserts that Western pressure will not deter its advancement here. Analysts see this as a power projection through technology. Global implication of Iran's program. Nuclear capability extend beyond weapons. Its leverage and negotiating power. Each new facility reshapes international dynamics here. Critics fear that civilian projects, it may escalate military potential. In the meantime, Iran maintains that its work is legal and irreversible. Saudi Arabia targets UAE-linked ships. Mukalla ports in Yemen become the focus point of Saudi airstrikes after intelligence suggests that weapons were unloaded for UAE-backed separatists. While this signals a rift maybe among the traditional allies, Saudi Arabia warns the UAE that its action threatens the regional stability here. The anti-Houthi coalition shows cracks. Regional power play in Yemen. The airstrikes underline competing interests. Saudi Arabia seeks unified control, while the UAE supports the separatists. Conflict within allies complicates the Yemen war here. Analysts warn that these fractures increase risk of wider regional conflict here. In the meantime, Tehran observes quietly, benefiting from this dispute. Putin enters the Middle East frame here. That's right. Vladimir Putin sends a New Year message to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Russia positioned itself as a potential mediator in the Gulf. Moscow seeks a lot of influence amid the shifting alliances here. Every action signals strategic calculation in regional diplomacy. Israel recognizes Somaliland. Israel announces recognition of Somaliland near the Horn of Africa. Strategic ports could host the intelligence or naval facilities here, while the Houthis warn that military footprints near Yemen will be treated as hostile. Regional tensions, well, they are now involving multiple fronts and the actors. Global solar race shifts to India now. That's right, India becomes the largest US supplier of solar modules. This follows Washington's push to reduce dependency on China. Indian exports surged nearly ninefold in 2023 and doubled again in 2024. India is now seen as a credible alternative in the global solar market. Indian solar competitiveness here. Indian solar modules are 19 to 21% cheaper than the US-made panels. Cost efficient and reliability drives the US demand. India's rising share of the US import signals a major shift here. Southeast Asia remains a competitor, but India's growth, it is remarkable. United States tariffs and trade pressure here. Well, the US plans a 50% tariff on Indian solar imports starting August 2025. This ties partly to India's ongoing oil purchases from Russia here, while exporters face scrutiny amid the mix of opportunity and the pressure. Trade, geopolitics, and energy strategy, they are all colliding. India's domestic solar expansion here. India's power capability grew from 356 GW in 2019 to 475 GW in 2025. Renewable energy, specifically solar, is the main drive here. In fact, by 2030, installations are expected to reach 430 GW, with a solar dominant share, while government incentives support production and global competitiveness. United States Embassy issues visa warning. The US Embassy in India issues a stern public warning on visa compliance here. Violations may result in criminal penalties. Well, the message targets Indian nationals amid the tightening immigration policy. Timing indicates broader geopolitics and domestic signaling. H-1B visa costs soar, Trump-era policies. Introduce a $100,000 fee for H-1B visas, affecting mostly Indian IT professionals here. Skilled workers face the higher cost to work in the US now. Companies depend on Indian talent. They face hiring challenges. In fact, career paths and family plans, they are disrupted. Enforcement intensifies in the US. Since January 2025, about 80,000 non-immigrant visas have been revoked. Common reasons include DUI, assault, theft. Student visas, they were also affected by over 6,000 individuals. The message, zero tolerance of law violation, and that too among the foreign nationals. Immigration becomes a political tool here. Visa restrictions and deportation reflects the domestic policy and leverage in the US foreign policy. Indians, particularly the skilled professionals, they face increased uncertainty. Well, the H-1B visa is no longer a guaranteed pathway. Migration has become a tool for broader political signaling. Brain drain risk for the US here. As the US visa pipeline tightened, companies move R&D back to India. Canadian and other alternatives, they are attracting Indian talent now. Well, the US is losing the skilled workers that are critical to AI, software, and healthcare sectors, while the shift impacts the global competitiveness. Historical perspective on Indian migration. So since 1960s, Indian professionals have contributed heavily to the US innovation and prosperity. Median income exceed $120,000. While the current policy shift threatens the decades of mutually beneficial migration here. In the meantime, political factors are increasingly shaping the migration pattern. Social media vetting expands. US consulates delay the H-1B and dependent visa appointments, and that too due to the intense social media vetting. No clear timelines or guarantees are provided. Applicants face uncertainty for months, disrupting personal and professional lives. Delays can actually have ripple effects on companies and the families. Employment uncertainty rises. Many companies fill roles locally rather than waiting for H-1B approvals. Skilled Indians may lose positions despite the job offers. Well, the market adapts rapidly, creating career instability. For individuals, months-long delay, it can unpin life plans. Families caught in limbo now. Well, visa delays affect families, children, education plan. Dependents face separation and schooling is disrupted. Emotion and financial strain is significant as well. Long-term consequences for professionals and personal life are mourning. US policy signals hardening stance here. Social media vetting, fee and visa revocation signals a tougher approach to skilled migration here. Authorities communicate enforcement and debt trends very clearly. Well, this is a historic shift in how India-US migration is managed. Career security is no longer assured. Global implications for talent flow here. Indian talent is exploring alternatives, be it Canada, be it Europe, or back home. Companies reassesses the global hiring strategy. In fact, America's competitive edge, it may weaken without any Indian professional. Immigration policy now influence the international business and innovation flow. So here's the final takeaway: a new era. For Indian professionals, the American dream faces unprecedented challenges: career path, visa, family plans, and under scrutiny. Global geopolitics, trade, and domestic policy intersect in one harsh reality. Well, the road ahead is steeper and the rules have changed. And with that, that's a 30 news bulletins from around the globe. From Iran to the United States, from Israel to Turkey. The world is changing and so is geopolitics. And TimesXP is here to give you all the latest updates that matters the most.